Sharon?
Good morning.
Yes. So you're here and you're busy. I know, super busy, super busy.
Absolutely, but it's good work. It's so worth it.
Okay, all right. Now, Jamar.
Yes.
Now we had the business operations and the chief of staff.
Good.
Okay, now I want you to go ahead and set us off with the beginning of Dr. Sharon Griffin, please.
Okay, so we have a Lemoyne Owen undergrad. That's a graduate. Yes, okay. You're Memphis born and raised?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, welcome to Hamilton High School.
Yes, love Hamilton, no doubt.
And you've been to University of Memphis for your master's and your doctorate, right?
I did.
I see we have something in common. We both started our undergrad with a hard science, a biology degree.
Yes,
So tell me a little bit how you got into education.
So, as I think about my career over the last 25 years, I remember the first time that I knew that education was my calling. I thought I was choosing to be a nurse. And I had the opportunity as an undergraduate at Lemoyne On to volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club. But I did not start out volunteering. At that time, we had work study. And so I was actually placed there to work. And I enjoyed it so much. I could not leave the kids. I volunteered after that. And I knew absolutely that was my calling. And so I even sacrificed an additional year and put off graduation so that I could get certified to teach. And because I had majored in nursing for so long, there were so many biology courses I had taken that to take the education course meant I needed to stay in college for an additional year. If I had it to do all over again, I would start off in education because it's so rewarding. And in the same vein, we are truly here I am, started as a biology teacher.
What?
I taught chemistry, one or 2 years of physics at Fraser High School. I was there for 13 years.
13.
I avoided physics
Yes,
like the plague.
yes.
I was pre-med in college, but I didn't want to do physics, so
Amazing.
that changed my whole career.
Yes, and then I was promoted to an assistant principal. Left there to be a principal at Airways Middle School. where I
Yes.
served for 5 years. And that was the first time I really had the opportunity to impact change through a vision where I had a team of people that really worked toward getting that school off of what was called at that time the list.
The list. I remember that.
That school turned
Yes.
around and got off the list in 3 years. And I was afforded the opportunity to come to the district and scale up.
Well,
And
there
so
it
here
is.
I am 7 years later as a district employee and only 44 days out as the new chief of school.
I mean, you're
New chief.
blazing a trail of first. You were the first director of the iZone
Yes.
district and the first chief of schools. So can
Absolutely.
you tell us a little bit about what the chief of schools does?
Well, let me first go back to my life in the iZone before I talk about chief of schools because I think that was so profound.
Right.
The work that we did was so groundbreaking. The iZone was created, as you know, as a subset of schools in the bottom 5% so that Shelby County Schools could create their own turnaround model. And so when we did that, we were afforded the opportunity for strategies, resources to be placed in schools, and everything that we did was based on needs. And so as we looked at the needs of the schools, all of the resources aligned to those needs, we were then able to move schools, 11 of them double-digit gains, who are no longer on the priority list, out of the bottom 5%. And that just doesn't go to say that you wish for that success, because what I tell the kids is they already had it. These were the same kids who
Right.
prior to the iZone model was underperforming. And so it goes to speak to if you put the right people, if you put the resources in front of the kids every day, you raise the level of expectation,
That's
they're
right.
going to perform.
That's right.
And so seeing that happen over 5 years in the iZone, I was now afforded the opportunity to take some of those best practices and those strategies and scale up to the entire district. So part of my role as chief of schools means that I'm now responsible not just for 21 schools.
Pay attention.
I have in
Listen.
the
Facts.
iZone,
Facts.
but I'm also now responsible for 186 schools. And so this work is going to be so amazing because the iZone was created as a model after schools had already fallen into a
Right.
critical status.
Critical.
And now we're going to be able to help schools before they even get critical because I firmly believe that you should not have to be critical before you get help.
Oh, you're like a
And
nurse
so,
for the schools.
yeah, like a nurse. Hey, I got about 4 jobs.
And you said that last night. For those that just tuning in, we have Dr. Sharon Griffin with us. But last night with the critical focus meeting with the parents,
we have 19 schools that have been deemed critical focus, and they are schools that have fallen not only just in the bottom 5, but the bottom 10.
share with the people how you said when something is critical, if you get like a critical status, you have to do certain type of things.
Absolutely.
Can you touch on that? Because I think that was very profound last
so
night.
what I want to start with first is I think that what you continue to say, you believe. And so when we hear critical, we always think that it's something bad.
Right.
We know that it is a state, but in true reality, critical means you're getting care 24 hours a day.
Ooh.
That whatever condition that you have, if it's not touched upon and if it's not addressed daily, you could slip into a more dire status.
Right.
And so what I wanted the people last night to know, and we had parents, we had teachers, we had
students,
principals,
right.
and most importantly, our students were
Yes,
there.
yes.
I wanted them to know that don't wear the stigma of critical as being something bad, because now you're getting additional resources. Some schools will get extended time. Some schools will get additional teachers because they wanted to make sure that the pupil-teacher ratio was smaller. So I wanted them to change their mindset. And I always say, things don't change until you change the way you look at things. So
Say that again, please. Listen, y'all.
Okay, things don't change until you change the way you look at things. And so I want to make sure that no matter what is happening, that we take those opportunities that we see as challenging as threats, and we capitalize on them. And so I think that after last night, just even from the comments and the people that I've been able to talk to, with some feedback, that they really feel better about this critical status and how we're going to be able, that's the community, that's our parents, that's our partners throughout this city, how we are going to be able to not only transform schools, but it's about transforming communities.
And it seemed like, the superintendent he has a different smile on his face these last couple of months, because think about it, with the realignment, reinvestment, the budget is balanced. So it's like, it's some things to be proud about, because the 4 years and he mentioned last night 24 schools had closed in the past, and now he's trying to put an end to that, to reinvest in schools. It seems like SCS is has a nice momentum right now.
We do, and we have so much to be proud of, which is also why I want people to get in schools. There are so many wonderful things happening that we don't know about, because in many instances, all of the negative is glorified. Those are the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sometimes 25 minutes of the news that we watch for 30.
Right.
And so there are so many positive things that are happening. We have some amazing kids, some amazing teachers and principals who are doing this work not for anything except they love it.
They love it.
They absolutely love it. And so we have to begin to tell our own story.
Exactly.
And so that's where we wanted to start last night.
Exactly. And that's why, with this segment, our narrative is, for years, like you said, everybody has been looking on the outside trying to write about what's going on the inside. So now us on the inside is going to tell a story, and we have a lot of stories to tell.
We do.
And that's going to be very key moving forward. But I want to move on to your vision.
Okay.
Now that you're, chief of schools, I know it's newly positioned. I know you work hard. Those that listening, I'm telling you, she works extremely hard, always working on behalf of the students. But in this position now, what is like your vision? What do you want to see, or what do you want to do as the chief of schools?
Well, the main thing that I want to do as the chief of school is we have to build the capacity within schools. Okay. Schools have to be at the forefront of everything that we do. Now that I've sat at the district level now for 7 years,
yes, ma'am.
In many instances, I've seen us try to force schools to fit into our worlds, to fit into our departments. But what would happen if we truly took a real good assessment at schools and then see how we could fit into helping those schools get better? We've been trying to build up schools one teacher at a time. We can't think about that anymore. We have to build up one team at a time. So it's not just about helping a teacher get better, but we want to help everybody in the entire school strive for excellence. So one of my primary goals, and the mission really of the Office of Chief of Schools, is I want to create an educational environment that nurtures not only the academic components, but I think in many instances, with Memphis being one of the poorest communities, one of the poorest counties, we have to intentionally nurture the social and the emotional aspects of what's happening in our communities. When our kids come to us, they've been exposed to trauma, they've had some basic needs not met, and so we cannot expect them to perform at the level as someone else who's had all of those needs met. So I want to create an office, create an environment, first of all, that's going to address not only the academic components, but that we really take into account the social and emotional needs that all of our students have. And we're going to make sure as a district that we build that capacity within schools through a through line of support. I've gotten commitment from every single department in the district. Every single cabinet member from the superintendent down has said, we want a list of what schools need, and we are going to make sure that we implement strategies to make sure that schools have nothing to do except teach, students have nothing to do except learn, and we're going to take care of everything else in the environment to make sure that that can happen.
Wow. I mean,
So
listeners, I hope y'all paying attention, because she dropped some gems right there on what she want to do in this district. And I'm so happy because I remember when you were at Airways Middle. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of other people in the district watched your rise. Okay. Now, a note to the other people in district, just like you rose, they can rise as well. But it seemed like your work ethic and your passion, you know, you was always doing something. Can you speak on that passion that you have? Because you always energetic. It's always about the students, about the teachers. And where does that come from? Because it seemed like it's electrifying. You walk in the room, yeah, Sharon is here.
Yeah. So if I can, let me tell you a little bit about my leadership story and why that I behave the way that I do. I am the youngest of 11, 9 girls, 2 boys. I have 10 sisters and brothers. And my mother and father were just absolutely amazing. But my life started really challenging. And so my mom, who was 46, and my father, who was 50 when I was born, my mom was diagnosed with what she thought was a tumor. And so in the late 60s, when I was born, technology was not as advanced, and so the place that the tumor was, it was inoperable. And so they told my mom, you have 1 or 2 options. You either have surgery to remove this tumor, or you're going to die. She went home, and after much debate and prayer, she and my father decided, no, I'm not going to have the surgery. And so then a few weeks later, this experimental drug that was known to shrink tumors, she was given an option to possibly take it, has shrank tumors. And of course, I'm just assuming, don't know this to be fact. She never said it was chemo, but chemo is a drug that shrinks tumors.
Right.
The side effects that she had was very similar to what people experience even with chemo now.
Wow.
And so she opted to go ahead and have this medical experimental drug. Took that drug for several weeks, went back in to have another test, and miraculously, instead of her tumor shrinking, it had grown.
Whoa.
And so the physician shared with her, because this tumor is so large, we need to do some more testing. And what they found out was, instead of it being a tumor, it was actually a baby.
Oh my goodness.
But the physicians also shared with her, because this baby has been exposed to such a toxic environment, you could barely even keep food down, and you had other side effects that were catastrophic. We know that if you take this pregnancy to term, this child will never be able to mentally function in a normal way because you've been exposed to all of these toxic drugs. And so, to make a long story short, my mom and dad decided to go ahead and go through the pregnancy, even against the advice of a physician. You got 10 living babies. Why would you want another one? This one would be mentally retarded, won't be able to walk, won't be able to talk, won't be able to think, will have to have care all of his or her life. My mom and dad still decided to have me. And so I was born. And so I heard this story my whole life and how I was born for this purpose. And so when I hear of kids that statistics have given up on because of the way that they live, their environments, and how they struggle, and people write them off because your mama incarcerated or your dad or you don't know.
Right.
Even though I knew my parents, my environment was so toxic that I too, through a medical profession and statistics, should not be here, let alone able to read, to write, to think, to talk, to walk. And so I know that somebody has got to believe like my parents. And what's
Right.
going to happen when 500 people believe that these kids
Come on now.
What's going to happen
Come
when
on.
10,000?
Come
What's going to
on.
happen when 100,000?
That's right.
So I can't give up because my purpose and my whole purpose, I was born for a reason.
That's right.
And my reason is very similar to the kids that I've had the opportunity to work with. So the energy that I get, and I tell kids, if you live it, it's a chance. If you're surviving, it's a chance. You can walk, you can talk, you can think. There is a chance. And so unless you don't have any breath in your body, it's a chance.
Well,
and that's just how I operate on a daily basis.
Well, now I hope y'all paid attention, because when you see her move, she moves kind of differently from everybody. You walk with assurance, confidence. It's like you know where you're going. You're not dragging around. It's like she's always on business. You know what I'm saying? So now that you know that purpose, right? Now I got an email that said something about you were like selected as one of the top 15, 14 educators in the whole United States of America. Can you share that information? What is all that about?
Wow. So Ed Week, which is a national magazine, has a segment that they've been doing since about 2010, where they identify top leaders in the country to learn from. And normally there are about 200 to 300 nominations. We don't know who nominates who. It's anonymous. But out of all of those nominations this last year, I was one of 14 leaders that they actually came to observe for 2 days, spent 2 full days with
observing you the whole 2 days.
The whole 2 days, interviewed Superintendent Hobson and some other district level people, talked to principals, talked to some teachers. They were able to garner just really my life and learning on a daily basis as it relates to my professional career.
Wow.
And so after doing that, they decided who would be the actual leaders to learn from. And we've been invited to go to Washington, D.C. My flight leaves in the morning. I'll actually be there for 3 days, and we will get a chance to tell our story. But I don't want to forget this. I have to say this.
Say it. Listen.
No person is an island, and you cannot forget about how important it is in this age of technology, people. The human capital piece of being able to support people. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And so we can't forget that even though I'm going to be recognized, it's all about the team. It's all about the kids and the people that we're here to support. And so we have to remember that as we rise,
that's right,
you got to continue to pull and help others get there as well. So as I go to D.C., no Shelby County Schools is going with me.
So you got about, 110,000 students, about over 12,000 faculty. You bringing us all with you.
I'm bringing you with me.
And that's how it's supposed to be. Now, before we get out of here, I want to get some tips from you.
Okay.
Just a message to teachers, because you're in a new position.
Yes.
Some teachers may not know how this may be headed or what's coming in the future. But what would your advice be to teachers right now? Because you can't get to every school in 1 week, but if it was a message that you wanted to resonate with teachers in our district, what message would that be, Dr. Griffin?
Well, one of two things. The first thing is, teachers, we can't thank you enough. And I think, first of all, in many instances, teachers feel like, even with the data, and even though the testing has changed, we are using TN Ready and Common Core.
Yes, ma'am.
We've never been tested in those areas 3 through 8. And in many instances, when the teachers get the scores, because this work is so personal to them, they take it personally. And no matter where you have landed, no matter where you are, teachers, we promise as we move forward, we are going to support you. We want to make sure that we build our teachers up. We want to make sure that, again, we don't make you fit into the district, but teachers, that we fit into your world. And so I think last night was a prime example that we are streamlining and aligning our resources to help teachers, because research supports that teachers are the ones who impact the instruction in the classrooms and help us move our schools forward. So I want them to know they have a voice.
You hear that,
and
teachers?
I want them teachers to know that we are going to support you and do everything that we can to make sure that you are successful. Number 2, I want to say to our students, in many instances, our students feel like they don't have a voice. Our superintendent, along with the team that's in the chief of schools office, we've created a student focus group. We want to make sure that any decisions that we make, because they're going to be the ones impacted, the teachers and the students. So every single decision that we're making, we want to make sure that our students know the why, but not just the why, but how it's going to impact them as well. And then when they understand that, they don't have a problem with rising to the occasion. We've seen it. So the one thing that I want to say to our teachers and our students, because that's the forefront of everything that I do, is that we're going to be here for you. We don't want to turn a deaf ear on you. We want you to make us do our job.
Right.
Make us do our job, and you're not going to be penalized for doing that.
Woo, did y'all hear that? And listen, when the teachers are teaching right now, y'all probably be able to listen to this later this afternoon because it'll be on replay. But you hit home with that. And now that you had a message for the teachers and the students, what would you say to our parents? And if you had to touch on some of the things you said last night, give a message to the parents, because you're in this new position, people that may not know you. What would be that message to parents?
Well, what I would say to parents in particular, parents, you've got to visit the schools. I don't want you to even just accept an A. If your child receives an A, just like when they get a low grade, an F, you're going to the school to find out why. Make sure you do that. What we've seen what I've seen in my profession in middle and high school is parents start to fall off. When students get in 6th and 7th grade, they're not as involved. They know when we get report cards, but they don't physically come up to the school, observe. We have an open door policy. Visit our schools. We cannot turn around a community with a school alone. It's going to take the community partners. Parents, it's going to take you inside of the schools. It's going to take you, if you can't physically come, let us know what you can do. I urge all parents to please make a commitment to be involved in your schools, because so goes the schools, so goes the community, and so goes Memphis. And all of us are charged with helping make Memphis a greater place.
Well, there you have it. On behalf of everybody here, from Stephanie Everson, the general manager, to everybody in this building, we like to thank you, and we welcome you into your new position. May God bless you to be successful. The way that your track record lines up, I think this is just the beginning, because you are a phenomenal woman and a great leader for our young ladies to look up to in our district and our young men, because seeing somebody from our city rise is very powerful. So thank you. And I know you got to get ready to go to D.C. We're going to be watching, and we're going to make sure
Not before board meeting.
Not before
tonight.
board. The board meeting tonight. So when you leave, just know, and I'm glad that you said you're going to be taking us with you. So thank you again.
Thank you
so much.
All right. Well, there you have it, y'all. Our narrative with Dr. Sharon Griffin. She is the chief of schools for Shelby County Schools. And I think this video will be on repeat and replay and on demand, because she dropped a lot of jewels. I want to send a special shout out to Patrick Richmond and my man Angel Ortez for making sure that this video, we was live on Twitter, we was live on Facebook, our app, our website, C19 88.5. We try to get every platform to make sure you all, parents and listeners, know we are here for you. We bring in Shelby County Schools to you, all right? So, Jamara, thank you for having me here today with you, and we're going to turn it back over to you. We're going to get back to the music, y'all. Thank you for listening. 88.5.